Hello and welcome to my latest career video. This career video features former featherweight contender and tough little fighter Benny Yanga. Okay, another name many will not be as familiar with, so let us go through the career of Benny Yanga, starting with his main opponents. So Benny Yanga fought Harry Forbes, okay, scoring a win in a singular fight. He also twice fought fantastic featherweight fighter Young Corbett II, okay. So from those two fights, Benny Yanga did not lose one. He scored one win and fought one draw, and he then replicated that fight run of one win, one draw from two fights against the great bantamweight and featherweight George Dixon. Next up is the mighty little Hebrew Abe Attell, okay. Benny Yanga actually defeated Abe Attell in a singular fight. He then also lost a fight to dangerous Harry Lewis, before also on here losing a fight to the great defensive fighter Packy McFarland. Next up is contender Tommy Sullivan. Benny Yanga fought him on one occasion, fighting to a draw. Yanga then scored one win and one draw from two fights against Kid Herrick. He also twice beat Joe Bernstein from two fights. Next up, Austin Rice. Okay, Benny Yanga also defeated him in a singular fight, and then he had two fights, scoring one win and one loss, okay, against tough lightweight contender Tim Callahan. Next up, another contender of the time, Kid Herman. Benny Yanga also fought him twice, scoring one win and one loss. He then scored singular wins over Crocky Boyle and Hugh McPadden, before closing out slide one with two fights with contender Eddie Hanlon, suffering a loss and a draw from those two fights. So tough little slide there for Benny Yanga, a fighter who's not in the hall, okay, was not a world champion. He's not, regarded by anyone, but certainly fought some tough opposition. So going on to slide two, he also fought twice and lost and drew, okay, to explosive puncher Aurelio Herrera, one of the biggest pound-for-pound punchers of his era. He also fought to a draw against capable contender Kid Goodman, before fighting and losing to Harlem Tommy Murphy, and then closing out his account fighting and losing to another tough contender Matty Baldwin. So there are highlighted 27 fights highlighted there, okay. Benny Yanga scored 12 wins with 8 losses and 7 draws from those 27 fights. So going on to his KOs and rounds boxed, Benny Yanga scored 30 knockouts. He scored 18 knockouts in 3 rounds or less, and he also scored 3 first round wins. Now he scored 3 KOs against champions, okay, 2 KOs against Hall of Famers, 3 KOs against pound-for-pounders, and as a solid pre-rating era fighter, Benny Yanga scored no KOs against rated fighters. He did fight a total of 568 professional career rounds. He fought 0 title fight rounds, and Benny Yanga fought totals of 64 rounds against champions, 63 rounds against Hall of Famers, and 68 rounds against pound-for-pounders. Again, rounds against rated opponents is nullified as his pre-rating era, so he has zeros in all 3 categories. So going on to his slide against world champions. Now Benny Yanga had 7 fights against world champions, only losing one of them, with a record of 4 wins, 1 loss and 2 draws. And Yanga defeated 4 individual champions. They were Harry Forbes, Young Corbett II, George Dixon and Abe Attell. And around bantam and featherweight, they were some best names from that time, so he beat some of the best fighters from that time in those respective divisions. He also stopped or knocked out 3 of those champions, stopping or knocking out Harry Forbes, Young Corbett II and Abe Attell. So on to the Hall of Fame slide for Benny Yanga. He has also 7 fights against Hall of Famers, with a record of 3 wins, 2 losses and 2 draws. He defeated 3 individual Hall of Famers who were also on the champion slide. They were Young Corbett II, George Dixon and Abe Attell, and he scored knockouts over 2 of those 3 Hall of Famers, Young Corbett II and Abe Attell. So going on to the pound-for-pound slide for Benny Yanga, he had 8 fights against pound-for-pound fighters, okay, scoring 4 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. He defeated 4 pound-for-pounders, and they were the champions. He defeated Harry Forbes, Young Corbett II, Abe Attell and George Dixon, and as we know from the champion slide, he stopped or knocked out 3 of those 4 pound-for-pounders he beat, that being Harry Forbes, Young Corbett II and Abe Attell. So there's the Champions Hall of Famers and pound for pound slide. When we go on to the rated opponents slide, we see Benny Yanga as a pre-rating era fighter, as highlighted by his rounds against rated opponents. He had no fights against rated opponents, so his zeros against top 10, top 3 fighters and ring champions, and thus by default, defeated no rated fighters and scored knockouts over no rated fighters. So on to his title fight numbers, and for Benny Younger, it's a bit of a drop again, okay, because Benny Younger's one of the many fighters I featured in my most recent top 1000 who never had a title fight. There's piles of them, which is why I don't cry and moan if Charlo doesn't get a unification opportunity when he's already a world champion and make out that he's been badly done to. When you actually look at the history of boxing, there are dozens, even Hall of Famers, who never had a title fight. So, I don't cry over spilt milk kind of thing with a modern fighter who's already been a champion, not getting it, what people perceive as an opportunity. Sorry, my heart bleeds, but not for Charlo. Now, Benny Younger, okay, had no title fights, no title fight record, no defences and no title fight KOs. He also thus scored no wins against top 10 fighters, top 3 fighters or ring champions in title fights, nor any wins against champions, Hall of Famers and pounders. And on to the final slide, the titles one slide, obviously highlighted by the other one. He was never awarded a belt, so therefore he captured no world titles. Benny Younger also, again by default, was never thus lineal champion nor undisputed champion. But what Benny Younger was is a very tough contender, as you can tell by his career. He could handle himself in a boxing ring, fighting some of the biggest names of his time. Young Corbett II, Forbes from bantamweight, George Dixon, Attell, even fighting other tough contenders, Tim Callahan, Matty Baldwin. All these fighters, very, very tough fighters, or some of the best fighters of their era from their divisions. Benny Younger fought a number of them and has a winning record against the best opposition he faced, which is a testament to him. If you think about it, he's got a winning record against champions, Hall of Famers and pounders, albeit in smaller numbers, but he still has a winning record against them, showing he was a very capable fighter. So there is Benny Younger, okay, another relative unknown name to many. Many more fighters coming who also will be unknown, and of course, like yesterday with Benny Leonard, also the more known ones, but the work will continue. So I'll be back soon with more videos. I'm the Boxing Librarian. I'm out for now.